Alright, I found this article the other day. I want to give a commentary on the article. The article is titled "Birth of the Dragon: Anger Over Whitewashing of Bruce Lee Biopic." I'm going to read the article quickly and then I'm going to comment on it. It says, fans who have seen an early screening of film criticize his portrayal of Lee and say martial arts star is sidelined to focus on white character. Audiences of Bruce Lee biopic Birth of the Dragon have criticized the film's portrayal of the martial arts star, as well as the extent to which it regulates his story below that of a white character, a white co-star. Written by Christopher Wilkinson and Stephen J. Rivele, who scripted the Will Smith starring biopic of Muhammad Ali, as well as Miles Davis biopic Miles Ahead, the film is said to use Lee's notorious private fight with Wong Jack Man as the starting point for a mafia thriller. However, users who have seen the film protested it actually focuses on a fictional white friend, Steve McKee, who learns kung fu and romances a Chinese woman. Bawlife wrote, the film reduces Bruce Lee to a side character in his own story to force a white guy into the lead. Asian males can never take the lead role. Only the sidekick, even in his own movie. White people, would it kill you to stop inserting yourselves into everything? Fellow IMDb user Chris Lee is working contributed, the director has turned Bruce Lee into a caricature. This is spitting on the memory of Bruce Lee. As a loyal fan of Bruce Lee and as an Asian, this film seriously offends me. A second Lee movie is currently in development, spearheaded by Lee's daughter Shannon. Announcing her project, she said, there have been projects out there involving my father, but they've lacked a complete understanding of his philosophies and artistry. They haven't captured the essence of his beliefs in martial arts or storytelling. The only way to get audiences to understand the depth and uniqueness of my father is to generate our own material. The whitewashing controversy surrounding Birth of a Dragon comes in the wake of a similar backlash to the news that Scarlett Johansson has to take the lead in the anime adaptation to Ghost in the Shell, while the casting of Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, a Tibetan man in the comics, has also met Doctor Strange has come in for criticism. On Tuesday, Disney vowed to cast a Chinese female actor in the lead of their upcoming live-action movie Mulan. Alright, so that's the article. And if you haven't seen the trailer, you can watch the trailer yourself. I'll try to connect the descriptions of the, I'll try to connect the link to the trailer to the description section of this video, and I'll try to connect the link to the article to the description section of this video as well. I already made a video initially about my initial feedback of the trailer, Birth of the Dragon. I didn't mention anything about the whitewashing in that, video. I guess I was so focused on being excited that my former Sifu, his son, is actually starring as Bruce Lee in the movie. I was mainly just talking about that coincidence, and I was excited for him to have that type of opportunity. But now I'm going to comment more on the whitewashing aspect that has been brought up in this article. Even before this article was published, before I even read the article, I did watch the trailer, and then I read the comments left on the trailer. And a lot of the comments were very negative. A lot of the comments were speaking about, like, what the hell is this white dude doing in the movie? That's what, like, a lot of people are saying. And as I was watching the trailer for the first time, and the white dude popped up in the trailer immediately, I was wondering, like, what's up with this dude? Like, why was the whole trailer focused around this dude? You don't see that many images of the actor, playing Bruce Lee in the trailer. But at the same time, in the trailer, in the thumbnail, you see Philip Ng, the guy playing Bruce Lee. You see him in the thumbnail, like constantly. Like he's the main one in the thumbnail, on all the thumbnails. There's one of him doing a pull-up. There's another one of him taking a punch to the face. And every single thumbnail, it's of, Philip Ng, the Asian guy, the Chinese actor. You don't see the white guy in the thumbnail. But as soon as you click the thumbnail, all of a sudden, most of the trailer is on this white dude. And then the title of the movie is called Birth of a Dragon. So you would think Birth of a Dragon. Bruce Lee was considered Little Dragon. So you would assume that they're talking about Bruce Lee, like Birth of a Dragon, the birth of Bruce Lee, right? But if the white guy is the theme of the movie, do they mean that the white guy is the dragon? Are they saying that the white guy is the dragon, so the birth of the dragon is the white dude? If that is the case, then that is extremely offensive. So I really don't know who the dragon is. Is it the white dude, or is it Philip Ng who's playing Bruce Lee? Like, who is the dragon that the title is referring to? Hopefully they're talking about the dragon is Philip Ng, and they're talking about the birth of the dragon, birth of Bruce Lee. But at the same time, technically, Bruce Lee was known as the Little Dragon. So what are they trying to say? That the white guy is the dragon and then Bruce Lee's the little dragon? They're talking about the birth of the real dragon, which is the white dude. I mean, I don't know, But that thing is just kind of, it really doesn't make sense. And aside from Philip Ng and the connection that I had with him in the past, and him being, playing the starring role of Bruce Lee in this movie. Aside from that, if I take that out of it, and I just assess this whole whitewashing thing directly without being influenced by that aspect, like if it was just some random actor that I didn't know, then what I'm saying is that dragging the Bruce Lee story starring Jason Scott Lee, and the whole thing was, approved, authorized, and she had a huge role in the whole production of the movie. Linda Lee, Bruce Lee's wife, ex-wife, whatever, like widow, whatever. There's no movie that's gonna top that. That movie's just hands down just unbeatable. Like, it was perfect. It went exactly the way that it's supposed to go. Like, Jason Scott Lee did an amazing job in that movie. And the movie went through his life piece by piece very accurately. There's certain things in there that are over-dramatized. Certain things were a little bit false. But overall, that movie was an amazing movie. Hollywood, starring a person that was Asian American, and it was about his life. The whole thing was revolved on his life. Even had the Linda Lee, the person playing Linda Lee, white woman, and that's exactly what happened. He got together with the white lady, so the Asian guy hooks up with the Asian girl, or Asian American hooks up with the white woman, and just showing, hey, this is his life. This is what happened. And Any other movie after that that's trying to portray his life is just, to me, it's not gonna be. It's just gonna be subpar. It's just gonna be garbage compared to Dragging the Bruce Lee story. So even that movie, from the perspective of Bruce Lee's brother, that was produced in China, called Bruce Lee, My Brother. I saw the movie, but I wasn't a fan of the movie. I thought, in my opinion, the movie was garbage. You know, even though it was approved by his actual brother, telling the story of Bruce Lee before he went to became famous and went to America, like, the movie was garbage. You know, it's just not gonna ever get better than Dragging the Bruce Lee story, in my eyes. And here we got this coming, The Birth of the Dragon. Now it's getting even worse. I mean, because Bruce Lee, My Brother, at least the whole movie, even though I thought the movie was garbage, it was at least focused on Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, My Brother. So, title of the movie is Bruce Lee, and the whole movie was focused around Bruce Lee. Even though I don't even know the name of the person that played Bruce Lee, and I don't even know if he even practiced martial arts. I don't even remember how fit he was. His technique was horrible. You know, I'd say that, of what I do remember. But nobody could play Bruce Lee. I mean, come on. Anybody that even tries is just going to be a joke. But, as I stated, Jason Scott Lee did a very good job. I mean, he was really super fit, ripped up, gymnast, and his technique, of course, you know, he's not going to be nearly at Bruce Lee's level, but he did what he could. He did a good job. Bruce Lee, My Brother, it was just a horrible movie compared to Dragging the Bruce Lee story. Dragging the Bruce Lee story. But like I said, at least the movie was focused around Bruce Lee. Now, without watching The Birth of the Dragon, because it's not out yet, but just seeing the trailer and seeing this whole whitewashing thing, it is very disappointing. It's gotten worse. You know, like, here you got the real Bruce Lee, the real Bruce Lee movies. That's never gonna happen again, but that's the real stuff. So he passes away, and then what, 40 years later, they come out with Dragging the Bruce Lee story, and yes, that's not the real Bruce Lee, but you know what, that movie was pretty damn dope. So I support Dragging the Bruce Lee story. But then they came out with Bruce Lee, My Brother. That's when it starts getting, you know, like, don't ruin it. Like, if it's not going to be better than Dragging the Bruce Lee story, then don't even touch it. That's my point of view. Like, Bruce Lee is the real thing. He's got his movies right there. You can watch that. Okay, you know, after 40 years, they got bored. Like, you know what? Let's try to make a movie about Bruce Lee because we got to bring his spirit back. Okay. They did a great job with Dragging the Bruce Lee story. You know what I'm saying? They had amazing soundtrack. You know, Bruce Lee's wife had a huge part in the role. They had a great director, great actor. It was a great movie. And then Bruce Lee, My Brother comes out, and I didn't even bother to watch. I mean, clearly I did not go to the movie theater. And I didn't watch it right away. I wasn't excited about it. You know, and then the only way that I was able to even come to terms to watch it was bootleg version. Ended up watching it, and it's garbage. And that's the thing, you know, like if you are not, you know, okay, Dragon the Bruce Lee story, it should have just stopped there. Unless you're gonna make something better than Dragon, don't even do it. They already did it with Bruce Lee, my brother, and it's just disappointment. And it's not like they waited another 30 years. They just waited a few more years, and then they come out with Bruce Lee, my brother. Garbage movie. And then now, Birth of a Dragon. And even though I know that Philip Ng is very talented in the martial arts, like he practiced martial arts most of his life. But of course he's not at the level of what Bruce Lee was, but at least they found a real person that actually practices martial arts. Whereas Jason Scott Lee was not a martial artist, but he was a gymnast. If you compare Jason Scott Lee to Philip Ng, Philip Ng actually practiced the martial arts. Jason Scott Lee was not a martial artist, but he was a gymnast. But I think Jason Scott Lee, his body development, his fitness level was much higher level than Philip Ng. So that's the thing, is like Philip Ng is not going to have the body development of Jason Scott Lee, but he's going to have the martial arts background that Jason Scott Lee does not have. Now, who's a better actor? I really don't know. You know, I don't know. But from what I did see, Jason Scott Lee, I don't know, it just he played Bruce Lee more convincingly compared to what I've seen in the trailer so far, as far as what Philip has been expressing, as far as, you know, his expression of Bruce Lee. But I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know. But it's gonna be hard for anybody to play Bruce Lee. Because the thing is, we know who Bruce Lee is. We know how he's supposed to look. We know how skillful he's supposed to be. We know how he's supposed to sound. We know Bruce Lee because we've seen him. So anybody that's going to try to play Bruce Lee, it's almost going to be humorous because we have something to compare it to. It's not like this is the birth of Musashi, where you don't know how Musashi looks like. You never see any videos with them. You don't see photos. You only see drawings. Like, you don't know how his voice sounds. You don't know nothing about him. So if somebody plays Musashi, you're going to believe it because it's going to be more believable because you don't know who the original was. But we know who the original is. So anybody that tries to play Bruce Lee, no matter if it's Jason Scott Lee, or that dude that did it in Bruce Lee, My Brother, or Philip Ng, who's doing it right now with Birth of the Dragon, or even myself, we're all going to look like fools no matter how ripped up we look, no matter how talented we are in the martial art techniques. We're still going to look like fools because we are not Bruce Lee. We are who we are. And when you ask somebody to play the role of somebody of whom is not you, but then the public knows who it is, it's going to be a difficult task, extremely difficult task at hand. And it's the same thing that with Will Smith and Muhammad Ali. Like, we know who the real Muhammad Ali is. We know how he looks like. We know how he sounds. We know his voice. So it's going to be very difficult for Will Smith to emulate Muhammad Ali. But the difference is Will Smith has an immense amount of experience in acting. He kind of looks like Muhammad Ali a little bit, slightly. And he is black. Ali's black. And he got approved by Ali himself because Ali's still living. Bruce Lee's dead over 40 years ago. He's not approving anybody. You know? So, it's going to be difficult for any actor to try to resemble Bruce Lee. Thousands or millions could try, but nobody will succeed. Okay, so back to the whitewashing aspect of it. The movie being themed around a white guy, when the movie is supposed to be about Bruce Lee, when I think about it and people are bringing it up in this way, it is very offensive. It's very sad. But you cannot say that I am not prepared to see this. I already knew that Hollywood is like this before this movie came out. I already knew. I already knew that Hollywood was like this back in Bruce Lee's time, and I already know that Hollywood is like this right now. 40, 50 years later, it's still like that. If not worse. Things have not changed. Racism is still very powerful. And I guess I was just overly excited that my former Sifu's son is going to be in the movie starring as Bruce Lee, that I overlooked this aspect of discrimination within Hollywood and just racism in Hollywood. But it's very clear, it's very apparent, it's very sad. You know, and you know, just go ahead and steal the ideas from the East, make money from it. Don't ever let an Asian person in any starring role ever. That is a huge no-no. That is breaking the golden rule of Hollywood. They just don't want to do it. They had a hard time allowing Bruce Lee to take the leading role in Enter the Dragon. Such a hard time, they had to kill him. And then 30 years later or whatever, they come out with Dragon and Bruce Lee story. That was a very well-made movie, giving respect to Bruce Lee. And then after that, no more. Now Birth of the Dragon comes out, still, no. No Asian man taking the leading role, even though the movie's supposed to be about Bruce Lee. So, what I'm saying, based on the article, it doesn't seem that Shannon Lee is supportive of this movie. She doesn't support it. It doesn't seem Linda Lee is involved in any way. So that's not a good sign. If Linda Lee is not in any way involved in the production of this movie, and Shannon Lee is not involved in any way. Shannon Lee is the only person that's related by blood to Bruce left. And she's the only one that has any type of authority in regulating any of this stuff. She's the one who runs and operates the Bruce Lee Foundation. So she has to remain intact with her integrity to Bruce, her father, if she wants to keep his work pure, uncorrupted. And if she doesn't support the movie, that's a huge red flag right there. And the only reason I would support the movie is because of my former relations with the person who's playing playing the Bruce Lee role in the movie. But that's a biased support, because I used to train with the guy that is playing Bruce Lee in the movie. So obviously that's biased. But if I took that out of the equation, then I wouldn't support the movie either. Because then I'll be supporting racism in Hollywood, whitewashing in Hollywood, by giving my money to this movie that's just, in a way, making a mockery of my own culture, my own people, and just raping like everything our culture is supposed to be or represent, or just taking it all, and that's what other people complain about, okay, here comes the white hero, and then what? I bet you I know the ending story. Oh, he wins the Chinese woman, so he takes the Chinese woman. So it's almost like, all right, it's okay, all right, we're gonna have all the white men in America go to China and steal all the Chinese ladies and dominate the Chinese, and we're gonna turn all Chinese people into Americans. They're all gonna be white. But then in actuality, the real Bruce Lee was the opposite. The real Bruce Lee came from China to America, and then he got a white woman. So he put his culture into America. And this movie's portraying, all right, we're going to take the white guy and we're going to dominate China. It's all about domination when it comes to this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you got a group of men taking all the women from another country and making babies with those women, then they're dominating that culture. And that's what they're doing with this movie. Centralized around a white person that's going to take the Chinese woman, take that culture, and turn it into white. Just like what MMA has done to the martial arts. You know what I'm saying? Like, turn it into, Americanize it, dominate it. What is seen as the martial arts in the East, let's take that and dominate it and turn it white. So what is seen, anything that you see of Bruce Lee, let's turn it white. Let's turn Bruce Lee into a white person. Instead of like a Bruce Lee turning a white man into a Chinese person. You got the white man going to China to turn the Chinese man into a white person. Whitewashing, that's what it is. So that's why you got somebody like me who's become so whitewashed that I don't speak my language that well. I can't read it, I can't write it, because I've been born here and I've been washed white. where you look at me, but then I'm not even speaking Chinese, I'm speaking English. So I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm turning into a white person by letting go of my culture of which I was born from. And when you see what's going on, then you're like, man, I gotta fix this. I gotta keep what I have left, keep it pure. Otherwise, it's all gonna be gone. And I'm not representing China at all. I'm false. You know what I mean? Like, every single minority that sees what's going on, when they realize and recognize that they're getting whitewashed, and they finally grow up and they see what's going on, they have to hold on to what they have left and then learn of what they can from the past in order to bring that back to the present, to keep and retain their culture, their roots. That's why I'm always trying to promote the teachings of the East, because that's my way of retaining my culture, my way from my original roots. But that's my feedback on it, you know. We'll see when the movie comes out and people watch it, then we'll see how the movie is. But so far, with the trailer and the way that it's going and the backlash that has received, this is not a good sign. And Shannon Lee herself, the daughter of Bruce Lee, not approving the movie, that is not good. So things aren't looking good right now for that movie, you know. And we'll see what happens, you know. But I'm still excited to see that the actor who's playing Bruce Lee, Philip Ng, is involved. But if he is seen as a mockery and people are not respecting him and they're just laughing at him and they see him as a sellout, then that's going to be really bad. That's not going to be good. Not for him, not for Bruce Lee, you know. And you know, you wouldn't want to be seen as somebody to take part in that, you know. If people don't respect the movie, that's bad. You know, if people don't respect it. Dragon is a totally different story. I mean, it's an amazing movie. Just support from Hollywood, support from Linda Lee, and it's a respectful movie, giving respect to Bruce Lee, Jason Scott Lee playing in that movie. Now that is good for Bruce Lee, it's good for the Lee family, the Lee Foundation, it's good for Jason Scott Lee. But this movie, Birth of the Dragon, it's not being well received already. The trailer has come out and it's not being well received. So what makes you think the actual movie will be well received? If the movie is not well received, if it's not giving more respect towards Bruce Lee, then it's better off the movie not being produced at all. You know. But we'll see.